I was 52 years old when I finally understood that some places don't want to be left alone. I'd been cleaning that middle school for 12 years. 12 years of waxed hallways, emptied trash cans, and those buzzing fluorescent lights that never quite stayed steady. You get used to it. The silence. The shadows that move when you're not looking directly at them. It's just part of the job. But room 3B? That room broke every rule I thought I knew about working nights. It started simple. Too simple, really. I walked in one Thursday around 11 p.m., mop bucket rattling behind me, and stopped cold in the doorway. Every single desk in that classroom was facing the back wall. Not just turned a little, fully rotated, neat rows, all of them staring at the cinder blocks like they were waiting for something to appear. I stood there for a minute, confused, because I knew Mrs. Callahan. She ran a tight ship. Her desks were always in perfect rows facing the whiteboard when she left. Always. I figured some kids snuck back in after hours. Happened sometimes. So I turned every desk back around, wiped down the boards, locked the door behind me, and made a mental note to tell the principal in the morning. Next night? Same exact thing. Every desk facing the back wall again. I reported it. Mrs. Callahan looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Said she hadn't touched a thing. Security checked the logs, no one had entered that wing after hours. No alarms. No footage of anyone going near 3B. They brushed it off. Said maybe I was remembering wrong, getting my rooms mixed up. But I wasn't. I'd been doing this job longer than most of those teachers had been working there. So I started paying closer attention. That Friday, I fixed the desks again, took a photo on my phone, just to prove I wasn't crazy, locked the door, and pocketed the key. Then I went down the hall to finish the science labs. About an hour later, I came back. Unlocked the door. Stepped inside. The desks were in a circle now. A tight, perfect circle in the dead center of the room. All of them facing inward like they were having a meeting. And in the middle of that circle? Nothing. Just empty space and the faint smell of old chalk dust. My hands started shaking. I pulled out my phone, checked the photo. Rows. Clean, straight rows facing the board. I took another picture of the circle, then backed out of the room and locked it again. I didn't go back in that night. But I could hear it. Standing in the hallway, hand still on the doorknob, I could hear the faint scraping of chair legs dragging across linoleum. Slow. Deliberate. Like someone was rearranging furniture in the dark. I should have quit right then. But you don't just walk away from 12 years because of some weird desk situation. So I told myself it was pipes. Or the building settling. Or maybe some kind of prank I hadn't figured out yet. The next week, I decided I was going to sit in that room. Wait it out. See what actually happened. So Tuesday night, I brought a folding chair, sat it by the door, and turned off all the lights. Just me in the darkness and 32 desks that wouldn't stay put. For the first hour, nothing. Just the hum of the vents and my own breathing. I kept my flashlight off, let my eyes adjust, watched the shadows. Around 2:30, my phone buzzed. Low battery warning. The screen lit up my face for a second, and when I looked back up, I swear one of the desks near the window had moved. Not much. Maybe 6 inches. But I hadn't heard a thing. Then the temperature dropped. I'm talking went from comfortable to freezing in the span of a breath. I could see it when I exhaled, little clouds in the dark. My skin prickled. And that's when the scraping started. One desk on my left shifted. Just a few inches. Then another on the right. Then 2 more near the back. I sat up, heart hammering, flashlight suddenly useless in my shaking hand. They were moving on their own. Sliding across the floor in short, jerking motions, metal legs squealing against the linoleum. All of them. All 32 desks closing in, forming that same tight circle, and I was inside it. I stood up fast, knocked my chair over. The desks didn't stop. They kept dragging inward, scraping, shrieking, the sound so loud I thought someone down the hall would hear it. But no one came. No one ever came. I stumbled backward, tripped over my own feet, caught myself on the wall. That's when I saw it. The teacher's desk at the front of the room, Mrs. Callahan's desk, there was someone sitting in her chair. I couldn't make out details. Just a silhouette. Legs crossed. Head tilted down like they were reading something. Completely still. Not breathing. Not moving. I didn't wait to see more. I shoved past 2 desks, nearly fell, threw the door open, and ran. Didn't stop until I hit the main hallway. When I looked back, the door to 3B was still open. The desks were still in that circle. And the figure in the chair? Gone. I called in sick the next 3 nights. When I finally came back, I went straight to the principal. Told her everything. She didn't believe me, but I could see it in her eyes, she didn't want to deal with it either. A week later, they cleared out room 3B. Turned it into storage. Said they were reorganizing space. Mrs. Callahan got moved to a different classroom. No one ever explained why. I stayed on for another 2 months, but I couldn't do it anymore. Every time I walked past that door, I felt it. That cold. That pulling feeling, like something inside wanted me to come back. To sit down. To wait. I quit in November. No 2 weeks notice. Just turned in my keys and left. I don't know if anyone's opened that room since. And honestly, I hope they never do. Because whatever was rearranging those desks wasn't looking for attention. It was looking for company. And the night I stayed in that room, I think it finally found someone willing to sit still long enough to notice. I just wasn't willing to stay. I need to tell you something about working alone at night. You start to trust sounds more than you should. I was 38, been on the night shift at Lincoln High for about 6 months. It's a massive building, 3 floors, over 200 rooms. My job was simple enough: sweep the hallways, check that classrooms were locked, turn off any lights the teachers forgot. Most nights I'd be there until the sun came up, just me and my cart and the hum of the building settling into itself. I didn't mind the solitude. At least, not at first. It was a Tuesday when I first heard them. The footsteps. I was halfway down hallway C, 2nd floor, around 12:40 in the morning. The corridor stretched out in front of me, empty and dim, just those emergency exit signs casting everything in that sickly red glow. That's when I heard it, footsteps. Heavy ones. Slow and rhythmic, like someone walking with purpose. Dress shoes on linoleum, that distinct click 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 echo that fills up a space. I figured it was Mike, one of the security guards. He'd check in on me sometimes, make sure I hadn't locked myself in somewhere. So I called out, "Mike? That you?" and turned the corner expecting to see him with his clipboard and his tired smile. The hallway was empty. Completely empty. Just rows of lockers on both sides and that one fluorescent light flickering near the water fountain. But one of the lockers, number 214, was hanging open. Just slightly. Like someone had just closed it but the latch didn't catch. I walked over and shut it properly. Heard it click. Then I stood there for a second, listening. Nothing. No footsteps. No voices. Just the building doing its thing. I shook it off and kept working. When I got to the end of the hall and turned back to grab my cart, locker 214 was open again. I stared at it for a long moment. My skin prickled. But I didn't go back. I just grabbed my stuff and moved to the next corridor. Told myself it was a faulty latch. Old building. Old locks. That's all. The next night, the footsteps came back. But this time they were closer. I was in the east wing, pushing my cart past the old gym, when I heard them behind me. That same measured pace. Click, 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 getting louder. I stopped moving, and the steps continued for 2 more beats before I called out, "Hello? Who's there?" They stopped. Just like that. Dead silent. And the worst part? They stopped right behind me. Like whoever it was had frozen mid-stride, 1 foot still in the air. I could feel it. That presence. That weight of someone standing just a few feet away, waiting. I turned around slowly. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. But there was nothing. Just the empty hallway and my own reflection in the trophy case glass, pale and wide-eyed. I didn't sleep well that week. The footsteps became a nightly thing. Some nights they'd pace behind me, matching my rhythm like a shadow I couldn't see. Other nights they'd sprint down a parallel hallway, fast and frantic, making me jump every time. I started wearing earbuds. Tried to drown it out with music. But even through the noise, I could feel it. That sensation of being followed. Then one night, I was sweeping out room 118, Mr. Alvarez's history class, when I caught something in my peripheral vision. A reflection in the chrome leg of a desk. Shoes. Old-fashioned men's dress shoes, polished to a mirror shine. Brown leather. The kind no student would ever wear. I froze. Slowly crouched down to look under the desk. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the broom. There was nothing there. Just empty air and dust bunnies. I backed out of that room and didn't go in again for 3 days. By then, I was exhausted. Paranoid. I knew I sounded insane, but I had to ask someone. So I went to Mrs. Kopecki, the attendant secretary who'd been at Lincoln for 30 years. She was sorting files in the main office when I knocked, and the second I brought it up, the footsteps, the locker, the shoes, her face changed. She got real quiet. "You hear them at night?" she finally asked. I nodded. She sighed, took off her glasses, and rubbed her eyes like she'd been dreading this conversation. "Principal Wallace," she said. "Died here about 15 years ago. Heart attack during one of his late-night walkthroughs. They found him in the 2nd floor hallway, slumped against the lockers. He used to patrol after hours. Every night? Always wore those same brown dress shoes. Polished them every morning before work." My stomach dropped. "Hallway C?" She nodded. "That's where they found him." I wanted to quit right then. But I needed the job. Bills don't stop because you're scared. So I kept going. Kept my head down. Tried to ignore it. Some nights were quiet. Some nights I'd hear him pacing 3 hallways over. I learned to avoid hallway C entirely. But my last night, I was finishing up the 3rd floor, almost done, almost home free. It was nearly 5 in the morning, sky just starting to lighten outside the windows. I was exhausted. Ready to be done. I turned into the final corridor, and that's when I heard them. Running. Full speed. From the far end of the hall, barreling toward me. Those footsteps, faster than I'd ever heard them, pounding against the floor, getting louder, closer, closer. I couldn't move. My legs wouldn't work. I just stood there, frozen, gripping my cart like it could protect me. The sound stopped right in front of me. So close I could have reached out and touched whoever it was. I felt it then. Breath. Cold and shallow, right against the back of my neck. And then a voice, low and rasping, barely a whisper. You missed a room. I didn't scream. I didn't run. I just stood there, shaking, tears streaming down my face, until the sun came up and the feeling finally left. I clocked out at 6:15, went straight to the district office, and resigned that morning. Didn't even go back for my last check. Had them mail it. I don't work nights anymore. And I don't care what anyone says, there are some jobs that aren't worth the pay. Some buildings that don't want to be empty. And some people who never really leave, even after they're gone. Principal Wallace is still making his rounds. I'm sure of it. And somewhere in that building, there's still a room he thinks needs checking. I just wasn't about to be the one to find it. I've been cleaning gymnasiums for over 20 years, and I can tell you, they all sound the same at night. The echo of your footsteps. The creak of the bleachers settling. The way a basketball left on the court will sometimes roll on its own when the floor shifts. You get used to it. But there's a difference between the sounds a building makes and the sounds that don't belong. I was 44 when I started at Riverside High. Nice gig. Decent pay. The gym was my main responsibility, mop the court, wipe down the bleachers, empty the trash, check the locker rooms. Simple routine. I'd done it 100 times at 100 different schools. This place didn't feel any different. Not at first. It was a Thursday night, maybe 2 weeks into the job, when I heard it. I was in the girls' restroom off the main gym, wiping down the sinks, when I caught this sound coming from the back of the room. Soft. Muffled. Like someone trying really hard not to be heard. Crying. I stopped what I was doing and listened. It was coming from the last stall. The one at the far end, tucked into the corner. I walked over slowly, trying not to startle whoever it was. Figured maybe a student stayed late, got locked in, and panicked. I knocked gently on the stall door. Hey, you okay in there? The crying stopped. Instantly. Like someone had hit a mute button. I waited. Hello? Do you need help? Nothing. I bent down to check under the door. No feet. No shadow. Nothing. I stood back up and tried the handle, unlocked. I pushed it open. Empty. Just a toilet and some graffiti on the wall. No vents big enough to crawl through. No windows. No explanation. I stood there for a minute, confused, then decided it must have been the pipes. Old building. Weird acoustics. Maybe the sound carried from somewhere else. I finished up and left. The next night, same time, same place, I heard it again. That soft, muffled crying. Same stall. I walked over, knocked, called out. And just like before, it stopped the second I spoke. I checked under the door. Nothing. Opened it. Empty. This time my hands were shaking when I left. By the third night, I was dreading it. I kept putting off the bathroom, doing everything else first. But eventually I had no choice. I grabbed my cleaning caddy, pushed open the door, and the second I stepped inside, I heard it. But this time it was louder. Desperate. Gasping, choking sobs, like someone who couldn't catch their breath. I walked straight to the last stall. I don't know who you are, but you need to come out. Right now. The crying continued. Frantic now. I grabbed the handle and tried to open the door. It wouldn't move. I pulled harder. The handle turned, the lock wasn't engaged, but the door wouldn't budge. It was like someone was holding it shut from the inside. Let go of the door, I said, louder now. I'm not gonna hurt you, just... The crying stopped. Dead silence. And then, 3 slow, deliberate knocks. From inside the stall. At chest height. Right where someone standing would knock. I let go of the handle and backed away so fast I almost tripped over my bucket. I didn't stop moving until I was out in the gym with the lights on and the bathroom door closed behind me. I didn't go back in that night. The next morning, I found Coach Ramirez in her office and asked her point blank if something had ever happened in that bathroom. She looked at me for a long time, like she was deciding whether to lie. Then she sighed and told me to close the door. About 10 years ago, she said quietly, we had a student. Quiet girl. Didn't play sports much, but she was in PE like everyone else. One day during a game, she started having trouble breathing. Panic attack, we thought. She ran to the locker room, locked herself in the last stall in the bathroom. My stomach turned. By the time we got someone in there to check on her, she'd already passed out. Turns out she had an undiagnosed heart condition. The stress triggered it. Paramedics tried, but she didn't make it. I felt cold all over. Why didn't anyone tell me? The school kept it quiet. Out of respect for the family. We don't talk about it. Most of the staff who were here back then have moved on. I should have quit right then. But I'm stubborn. And stupid. I convinced myself I could handle it. That I'd just avoid that stall. Do my job and get out. But 2 nights later, I was finishing up the gym when I heard it again. The crying. Except this time, I was still in the hallway. I hadn't even opened the bathroom door yet. And I could hear it clear as day, echoing out into the corridor. I stood there, frozen, key in hand. Every part of me screamed to walk away. But something made me open that door. Maybe I needed to see it. To know for sure. The bathroom was bright. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. And every single stall door was wide open. All of them. Swinging slightly, like someone had just walked through. Every single one, except the last. That door was closed. Fully closed. And as I stood there staring, it started to move. Slowly. Deliberately. Swinging shut with a long, drawn-out creak until it clicked softly into place. I didn't think. I just turned around, walked to the sink, and set my keys down on the counter. Then I left. Walked straight out of the building, got in my car, and drove home. I called the district office the next morning and told them I wasn't coming back. They asked why. I didn't give them a reason. Just said it wasn't a good fit. I've worked in a lot of schools since then. Cleaned a lot of bathrooms. But I've never heard crying like that again. And I hope I never do. Because whatever was in that stall, whatever part of that girl couldn't leave, she wasn't looking for help. She was looking for someone to hear her. To know she was still there. Still stuck in that moment, gasping for air, trying to hold on. And I heard her. God help me, I heard her. But I couldn't stay. Some sounds you're not supposed to answer. Some doors you're not supposed to open. And some jobs aren't worth what they ask you to carry home at night. I left my keys on the sink. And I didn't look back.